"Dad, can we take her home?" Baby girl asked when she saw the homeless Foxy alien women. Subside.
Yes.
The evening was quiet. The kind of quiet that comes after a long day, when the sky slowly turns orange and gray. The city road was not very busy, but cars still passed now and then. Streetlights began to glow one by one. A father and his small daughter were walking side by side on the footpath. The father held a shopping bag in one hand, and his daughter's tiny hand in the other. His steps were slow because he was tired from work. The little girl skipped now and then, trying to step only on the cracks between the tiles. The father was thinking about many things: bills to pay, work stress, and how to make life better for his child. He was a single parent, and every day felt like a test of strength. Still, he tried to stay calm and kind, especially in front of his daughter. She was his world. Her laughter made his hard days feel lighter. As they passed an old area near some closed shops, the air felt colder. The road was less clean there. Trash bins stood near a broken wall, and the smell was not pleasant. Most people avoided this place and walked faster when they passed through. The father gently pulled his daughter closer, planning to move past it quickly. But the little girl suddenly stopped. "Dad," she said softly. He looked down. "What is it, sweetie?" She did not answer right away. Her eyes were fixed on something near the trash bins. The father followed her gaze and felt his chest tighten. There was someone sitting on the ground, almost hidden behind the bins. At first glance, it looked like just another homeless person. Someone wrapped in old clothes, sitting still, trying not to be noticed. The father had seen many people like this before. Life in the city was hard, and not everyone survived it well. He felt sorry, but he also felt fear. He had his child with him. He did not want trouble. "Come on," he said gently, tugging her hand. "Let's go home." But the little girl did not move. "Dad, she's cold," the girl whispered. The father looked again. The woman was sitting with her knees pulled close to her chest. Her clothes were thin and torn. Her hair was long and messy, covering most of her face. She was shaking slightly. She tried to make herself small, like she wanted to disappear into the wall. The father felt uncomfortable. His heart told him something was wrong, but his mind warned him to be careful. He had learned the hard way that kindness in the city could sometimes bring danger. Still, he slowed his breathing and looked more closely. That was when he noticed something strange. The woman's ears were hidden under her hair, but they were not shaped like human ears. They were longer, softer in shape, and slightly pointed. He blinked, thinking his tired eyes were playing tricks on him. He looked again. The ears were real. The woman sensed their presence. She lifted her head slowly. Her eyes met the child's eyes first. They were not angry or scary. They were full of fear and sadness. When she noticed the father staring, she quickly looked away and pulled her hair forward to hide her face. "I'm sorry," the woman said quietly. Her voice was weak, but gentle. "I won't bother you. I was just resting." Her accent was strange. "Not from around here." The father felt his heart beat faster. His instincts told him to leave, but his daughter squeezed his hand tighter. "Dad, she looks lonely," the girl said. "Can we help her?" The father did not answer. He felt torn inside. He wanted to protect his child, but he also remembered how hard life had been for him when he was younger, when one small act of kindness had helped him survive. He cleared his throat. "Are you okay?" he asked the woman, keeping his voice calm. The woman nodded quickly, though it was clear she was not okay. "Yes, I will be." The child took a small step forward. The father gently pulled her back. "What's your name?" he asked. The woman hesitated. I don't use my real name here. You can call me Mira?" The father nodded. "Do you have somewhere to stay tonight?" Mira shook her head slowly. Her eyes stayed on the ground. "No." The word felt heavy in the air. Cars passed behind them, their lights flashing for a moment and then disappearing. The city did not care. It kept moving. The little girl looked up at her father. Her eyes were big and serious, not like a child asking for a toy, but like someone asking something very important. "She's not scary, Dad," she said. "She's just sad," father swallowed. He had taught his daughter to be kind, but but he had not expected kindness to challenge him like this. Mira noticed the child's eyes and felt something she had not felt in a long time: hope. Most people looked at her with fear or anger. Some shouted at her to leave. Some threw things. No one ever looked at her like this child did. "I'm sorry," Mira said again. "I don't want trouble. I'll go somewhere else." She tried to stand, but her legs were weak. She almost fell, catching herself against the wall. Without thinking, the father stepped forward and held out his hand to steady her. The moment his hand touched her arm, he felt something different. Her skin was warmer than expected, and there was a soft texture beneath her sleeve that did not feel human. Mira froze. Her breathing stopped for a second. She pulled her arm back quickly, fear flashing across her face. "I'm sorry," she said. "I shouldn't have. It's okay," the father said quickly. "I was just helping." The little girl smiled at Mira. "I'm Lily," she said proudly. "What's your favorite color?" Mira was surprised. No one had asked her something so simple in a long time. She thought for a moment. "Blue," she answered softly, "like the night sky." Lily smiled wider. "Mine too." For a brief moment, the cold, the trash, and the fear faded away. It felt almost normal. The father watched this small exchange and felt something shift inside him. He realized that, whatever this woman was, she was not dangerous. She was tired. She was scared. She was alone. He did not know yet that this meeting would change their lives. He did not know the secrets Mira carried or the challenges ahead. All he knew was that in that quiet moment under the streetlight, his daughter had seen someone in need and had stopped. And that single pause, that one act of noticing, was the beginning of everything. The father stood there for a moment, unsure of what to do. His little daughter, Lily, was staring at the woman with big, pleading eyes. She had already made up her mind. She wasn't thinking about danger or rules. All she could see was someone who needed help. Someone cold and alone. Someone who deserved kindness. "Dad," Lily said softly, tugging his hand gently. Can we take her home?" The words hung in the air, simple but heavy with meaning. The father froze. He looked at his daughter's hopeful face and then back at the woman. Mira, the woman sitting on the cold concrete, flinched slightly, as if she didn't believe what she had just heard. People didn't usually offer her safety. People didn't usually care. Most ignored her, some shouted, and a few tried to push her away. But a little girl had just asked to take her home. The father's mind raced. Safety, responsibility, bills. The apartment was small, already crowded with their little routines. Could they really take in someone they didn't know? Could he trust this stranger? But when he looked at Lily, her innocent face, full of empathy, he felt a strange warmth. There was a lesson here that life had tried to teach him before. Sometimes kindness was worth the risk. "Lily, it's not that simple," he said cautiously. "We don't even know her. Who knows what might happen?" "She's not scary, Dad," Lily insisted. Her small hand gripped his tightly. "She's just lonely and cold. Please." Mira lowered her head, covering her face with her messy hair. She could hear every word. She had been so careful all these months, hiding herself, avoiding attention, making herself invisible. And now, a small child was offering her something she had almost forgotten existed: hope, a safe place, a home. I shouldn't," Myra said quietly, almost to herself. "It's not safe for you. You don't know me." Lily's eyes filled with tears. "But she needs help. You always tell me to help people if we can. She's scared, and she's alone. Can't we help her?" The father knelt down to Lily's level, seeing her face glowing in the soft light of the street lamp. He could see the determination in her little eyes, the pure honesty that children often carried like a shield. It was hard to resist. His heart softened. "Okay," he said slowly. "Maybe just for a little while. We can help her tonight. But we have to be careful, all right?" Lily's face lit up immediately, a huge smile breaking across her cheeks. "Really, Dad? Thank you." She bounced lightly on her toes, almost forgetting the cold air. Mira hesitated, her body stiff, her mind racing. She had been on the streets for months, sleeping behind bins, hiding in dark corners, never trusting anyone. And now, this small family wanted to take her into their home. Her heart pounded with fear. What if she couldn't be accepted? What if she scared them? She had learned the hard way that humans didn't understand people like her, people who were different. "I don't want to cause trouble," she said again, her voice shaking. I don't belong anywhere." "Yes, you do," Lily said firmly. "You belong here with us, even if it's just for tonight. Please." The father reached out slowly with a hand, careful not to startle Myra. "Here," he said softly. "Take my hand. We'll get you some warmth and food first. No one will hurt you tonight." Mira looked at the hand, hesitant. Her body trembled, not just from the cold, but from the strange mixture of fear and hope she felt. Slowly, cautiously, she reached out. The father's hand felt solid and warm, different from the cold, hard streets she had been surviving on. She allowed him to help her to her feet. They began to walk slowly down the quiet street, Mira in between the father and Lily. She kept her head down, not making eye contact, not speaking much. Lily skipped beside her, chatting softly, telling her about her day at school, her favorite storybooks, her tiny adventures. At first, Myra said nothing. She only listened. The sound of the child's voice strange and comforting all at once. The father kept glancing at Mira. He noticed the small details, the way she walked carefully, like her muscles had forgotten how to move normally, the way she flinched at sudden sounds, like she expected danger at every moment. And yet, there was something gentle in her eyes, something human, maybe even more human than most people he knew. When they reached their small apartment, the father opened the door and let them inside. The warmth hit Myra immediately. The heat from the radiator, the smell of food cooking in the kitchen, the soft furniture. It was like stepping into another world. She froze for a moment, feeling the weight of reality pressing on her chest. She was allowed inside. She didn't have to hide anymore. Lily ran ahead, pulling Mira gently toward the living room. "Come sit here," she said. "We'll get you some blankets and food." She disappeared for a moment and returned with a soft blanket, almost too big for Myra, but wrapped it carefully around her shoulders. Mira shivered slightly, but the warmth slowly spread through her body. The father put a cup of warm tea in her hands. "Drink slowly," he said. "You've been outside for too long." Mira held the cup carefully, her fingers cold and trembling. The warmth seeped into her hands. She felt a strange emotion she hadn't felt in months. Safety. For the first time in a long time, she could breathe without fear. Lily sat beside her and smiled. "See, it's okay? You're safe here. You don't have to hide." Mira blinked, tears threatening to spill over. She had been invisible for so long. People had avoided her, yelled at her, or ignored her. And now, this little family had accepted her, even without knowing her story, even without judging her for her differences. Thank you," she whispered. I don't know how to. How to say—" "You don't have to say anything," the father interrupted gently. "Just be here. That's enough." For the next few hours, Mira sat with them in the living room, drinking warm tea, eating some bread, and slowly letting herself relax. Lily chattered happily, asking questions about her favorite games, telling stories about school, and even showing Mira some of her drawings. Mira listened quietly, occasionally nodding, occasionally smiling. She realized she hadn't laughed like this in months. The father watched them from a distance, feeling a mix of relief and amazement. A child's innocence and compassion had brought a stranger into their lives. The warmth in the room wasn't just from the radiator. It was from the simple act of choosing to care, to reach out, to include someone who had been left out for so long. That night, Mira slept in the living room with a blanket over her shoulders, Lily curled up beside her. The father watched them both, feeling grateful for the little girl who had opened his heart. Outside, the city continued its routine, cold and indifferent. But inside that small apartment, there was a moment of magic, a moment where kindness had triumphed over fear. Mira did not know what the future held, but for the first time, she allowed herself to hope. Lily had given her more than just warmth and food. She had given her something far rarer, a chance to belong, even if only for a short while. And the father knew that this night would be remembered. It's not for danger avoided, but for humanity remembered. The little girl's simple question, "Dad, can we take her home?" had changed everything. Mira closed her eyes that night with a soft sigh. She had survived alone for so long, but now, for the first time, she didn't have to be alone. The seed of trust and family had been planted, and though no one could know how far it would grow, they all felt the first spark. It was small, quiet, and fragile, but it was enough. The next morning, sunlight spilled softly through the apartment windows. It was a quiet light, warm and gentle, slowly waking the small home. Lily was the first to rise, as always. She stretched her tiny arms and yawned, rubbing her eyes before looking toward the living room where Mira still sat wrapped in the blanket from the night before. Mira's eyes were tired, but there was a small, cautious calm in them that hadn't been there before. The warmth of the room and the kindness she had received had given her a sense of safety she hadn't felt in a long time. "Good morning," Lily chirped, bouncing over to Mira. "Did you sleep okay?" Mira hesitated, a soft blush rising on her cheeks. "Yes, better than I have in a long time," she admitted softly. The words were slow, awkward, but honest. Lily smiled brightly, reaching out and taking her hand gently. "See? I told you it would be okay," Lily said with pride. "Now you can eat breakfast with us." The father came out of the kitchen carrying a plate of warm toast and a small bowl of fruit. He paused when he saw Mira. Her posture was still careful, as if she expected something bad to happen at any moment. But there was a subtle shift in her expression. She wasn't hiding behind fear anymore. She was curious, cautious, but willing to take small steps forward. "Good morning, Mira," he said softly. "I hope you're hungry. We made some breakfast." Mira nodded quietly. "Thank you, I didn't have breakfast yesterday," she admitted. Her voice was low, almost shy, but there was a sense of honesty in it that touched him. Lily pulled out a chair for Mira, and they sat together at the small table. The little girl chatted cheerfully while Myra quietly ate, taking small bites and sipping warm tea. She had forgotten what it was like to eat a meal in peace without the constant fear of being watched, judged, or chased away. She felt human again. After breakfast, Lily asked the question that had been on both their minds for some time. "Myra, why are you out there all alone? Where do you live?" Mira's fork paused midair. She looked down at the table, fiddling nervously with the edge of her napkin. Her mind raced. How much should she tell them? Could she trust them with the truth? The story of her life was strange, unbelievable even. She wasn't entirely human, and the humans around her had never been kind. How could they understand her? I don't really have a home," she said carefully, her voice low. "I've been moving from place to place. I stay where I can, sometimes behind buildings, sometimes in abandoned spaces. I've been hiding because people don't understand me. They are afraid of me."
Oh.
Lily looked confused for a moment, but shook her head. "Afraid? Why would they be afraid?" "You're not scary." Mira looked up and saw the truth in the little girl's eyes. No judgment, no fear, just concern and kindness. It made her heart ache and hope stir at the same time. Features that are different. I look strange to most people. I have ears, different ears, and sometimes they notice things about me that make them afraid. So, I try to stay hidden." The father's brows furrowed as he listened carefully. He felt a mixture of concern and disbelief. Was she telling the truth? Could such a thing exist? But there was something in her voice, in the way her eyes held his, that made him realize she wasn't lying. The fear in her words was real. The loneliness in her story was real. And despite the strangeness of her tale, he knew that what mattered now was her need for kindness and safety. You're not a danger to us, Mira," he said finally, in a calm but firm voice. "I don't understand everything, but that doesn't matter. You're here now. You're safe. That's what counts. Mira's eyes filled with tears she didn't even realize had been holding back. She nodded slowly, gripping the blanket around her a little tighter. For years, she had survived alone, always expecting rejection, always expecting fear. And yet, here she was, sitting at a table with strangers who didn't look at her as a threat. They were offering her acceptance. Lily, not fully understanding the complexity of the situation, bounced in her chair. "See, Dad? I told you she's just nice. She needs friends, that's all." The father chuckled softly, shaking his head. "You're right, Lily. She does need friends." After breakfast, Mira followed the father and Lily around the apartment. The small home was neat but modest. Photos of Lily and her late mother decorated the walls. There were small toys scattered across the living room floor, along with school books and crayons. Mira observed quietly, her gaze lingering on the warmth of the home. For a long time, she had lived in cold, dark spaces. And every small thing, here the colors. The softness, the order, felt like a gentle, foreign magic. Lily began showing her favorite books and games, trying to engage Mira and make her feel comfortable. At first, Mira hesitated. She was unused to this kind of interaction. Most people avoided her, and some even mocked her in the past. But Lily's constant smiles and gentle encouragement slowly made her relax. She found herself laughing softly at Lily's little jokes and enjoying the simplicity of this human connection. The father watched carefully, feeling a strange mixture of relief and pride. He realized that a child's innocence and trust could do what fear and caution often could not. Mira was responding to Lily's warmth, slowly letting go of the walls she had built around herself over months of loneliness and hiding. At one point, Mira spoke quietly, her voice filled with hesitation but also curiosity. "Do people always live like this? Having someone to care for them?" The father looked at her, a soft smile on his face. "Most people are lucky if they have someone who cares, Mira. You're one of those lucky ones today. That's all that matters right now." Mira nodded slowly, absorbing the words. She had been invisible for so long that simple acknowledgement felt like sunlight breaking through clouds. She realized that she had forgotten what it felt like to be seen, truly seen, and not judged or feared. As the day went on, Mira began to open up even more. She told Lily about her favorite memories from before, small fragments of her life that were both human and strange. She didn't mention the full truth about where she came from yet, unsure how much the father and Lily could understand. But she shared enough to create a connection, enough to let them see her as a person rather than a mystery. Lily listened eagerly, asking questions and laughing softly at the little anecdotes. She treated Mira like a friend, someone she had known forever, even though they had met just yesterday. Mira found herself smiling in return, something she hadn't done freely in months. By the afternoon, the father prepared a small area for Mira to rest more comfortably. She had slept on the couch the night before, but now she could sit on a chair with cushions and blankets, feeling more at ease. She realized that she could relax here, even if only for a little while. The father sat nearby, observing Mira carefully. He understood that trust would take time. One day of kindness wasn't enough to erase months of fear and survival instincts. But he also understood that this was a start, a first step towards safety, healing, and perhaps even a sense of belonging. As the day turned to evening, the three of them shared another meal together. Mira ate quietly, but felt a strange sense of comfort. Lily talked and laughed, filling the small apartment with warmth and energy. The father felt a quiet satisfaction, knowing that their small act of kindness had made a difference in someone's life. Later, when Lily was getting ready for bed, she hugged Mira tightly. "I'm so glad you're here," she whispered. "You're my friend now. Don't forget that." Mira hugged her back, careful and gentle. "Won't forget," she whispered, her voice trembling with emotion. She realized that this small connection, this child's pure kindness, was enough to make her believe and trust again. The father watched from the doorway, feeling a deep sense of gratitude. He knew that tomorrow would bring new challenges, questions, and decisions. But tonight, for this moment, Mira had found warmth, safety, and a small but real connection. And in the quiet of the apartment, Mira allowed herself to hope that maybe, just maybe, she could start to belong somewhere again. The next morning, the apartment felt brighter than usual. Sunlight spilled through the windows, reflecting softly on the small furniture and filling the room with warmth. Mira was awake early, sitting quietly near the window with a blanket wrapped around her shoulders. She watched the world outside for a while, noticing people walking quickly, cars rushing past, and children playing on the streets. For years, she had been invisible to the world, hiding in shadows, and yet now, she was part of something ordinary. Something human, and it made her feel both strange and safe at the same time. Lily ran into the room, her small feet pattering on the floor. "Good morning, Myra. Did you sleep okay?" she asked excitedly. Her eyes sparkled with curiosity and happiness, full of the innocence and warmth that had first drawn Myra in. I slept. Okay, Myra said softly, her voice low, almost shy. She had slept more peacefully than she had in months, wrapped in warmth and away from the dangers of the street. That simple act, being allowed to rest, was already teaching her what it meant to trust again. The father came out of the kitchen carrying a small tray with breakfast toast, eggs, and fruit. He paused for a moment when he saw Mira watching the world outside. "Good morning, Mira," he said gently. "We made breakfast. You don't have to eat right now if you're not ready, but it's warm." Mira nodded, grateful for the offer. She had learned long ago to survive on little, so the idea of a steady meal and safety was still new to her. The father noticed the hesitation and simply smiled. He didn't push, knowing that trust could not be rushed. After breakfast, Lily grabbed her backpack and whispered to her father, "Dad, can we do something fun today? Maybe show Mira around?" She bounced on her toes with excitement. Clearly eager to share her little world with someone she already considered a friend, the father hesitated. He knew the day would not be easy. Taking Myra outside, even for something small, could attract attention. People might stare, ask questions, or react with fear. Mira was already cautious. He didn't want to scare her, but when he looked at Lily's hopeful face, he realized that hiding her away from life wasn't the answer. She needed small steps to feel human again, to feel included. "Okay," he said slowly, choosing his words carefully. "We'll go out. But we'll be careful. You stay close to us, Myra, all right?" Mira nodded, her heart pounding with a mixture of excitement and fear. She hadn't walked among humans openly for months. Every step outside had been a risk, every glance a challenge. But now, with this small family guiding her, the world felt a little less frightening. They walked through quiet streets, Lily skipping ahead and Myra following cautiously. The father stayed close, ready to intervene if anyone reacted negatively. At first, Mira kept her hood up, covering most of her face and ears. She had learned the hard way that being noticed often brought trouble, but Lily's cheerful chatter slowly helped her relax. "Do you like flowers?" Lily asked suddenly, pointing to a small patch of blooms by the sidewalk. Mira blinked at the bright colors. It had been so long since she had noticed beauty around her. She nodded slowly. "Yes, they are." "Pretty," Lily grinned. "I'll show you my favorite park. There are more flowers there and a little pond. Ducks live there too." The small trip to the park was slow, but full of small discoveries. Myra's steps were careful, her gaze darting occasionally to make sure no one was staring too closely. But Lily held her hand confidently, and the father stayed alert but calm, providing a quiet sense of security. When they reached the park, Mira hesitated at the edge. The sunlight on the water, the sounds of children laughing, the scent of fresh grass, it was all overwhelming. For months, she had been hiding, avoiding humans, avoiding attention, and yet here she was, allowed to walk freely among them, allowed to exist. "See," Lily said cheerfully. "It's not so scary." She ran ahead to the pond, pointing at the ducks swimming. "Look at them. Aren't they funny?" Mira smiled faintly, a small, genuine smile that surprised her. She crouched slightly to observe the ducks, her fox-like ears twitching subtly as she listened to the gentle quacking. For the first time in months, she felt a strange sense of peace. The world wasn't just danger and fear anymore. It could be beautiful too, The father watched quietly, noticing how Mira's body relaxed in the sunlight. The small park, the simple acts of observing and participating, were already helping her heal. He realized that this wasn't just a walk in the park, it was a step toward reclaiming her life. They sat on a bench nearby, sharing a small snack Lily had packed. Mira hesitated at first, but eventually tried some of the bread and fruit. The simple act of eating with them, laughing at Lily's silly stories, felt like a small miracle. She had been on the streets, surviving alone for months. Food had been scarce, trust rarer. And now, she could sit and eat without fear. After a while, Mira began to talk. Not much at first, just small sentences, testing the waters of conversation. She told them about simple memories, small moments from her life before the streets days, when she had seen kindness, moments when she had felt safe. Lily listened eagerly, asking questions and laughing softly at the funny parts. The father listened too, silently learning about Mira, learning to trust her as she slowly trusted them. As the afternoon went on, Mira began to share a little more about herself. She didn't tell the full truth about being different, about her fox-like features. That part was still too dangerous to reveal fully. But she spoke of the loneliness she had felt, the long nights in empty alleys, the quiet hope that someone might notice her someday. Her voice trembled at times, but she spoke honestly, and that honesty created a bond stronger than any words could build. By the time they returned home, Mira felt exhausted but lighter. She had spent hours outside, interacting with the world in a way she hadn't dared to for months. She realized that she could belong, even if only temporarily. She could exist without hiding. That evening, as they shared dinner, the father and Lily talked about small plans to help Mira more. They discussed clothing, warm blankets, and small comforts that would make her life a little easier. Mira watched quietly, hesitant to ask for anything, but the offer alone filled her with hope. She realized that they weren't just helping her survive, they wanted her to thrive. Later, when Lily was brushing her hair before bed, she turned to Mira. "You know, you can stay as long as you want. We like having you here. You're part of our family now." Mira felt a warmth spread through her chest. She wanted to say something, to tell them how much this meant, but words failed her. Instead, she simply nodded, letting herself feel a happiness she hadn't allowed in months. The father watched from a distance, realizing that trust and kindness could heal wounds far deeper than he had ever imagined. Mira had begun to open up, to trust them, and to believe that perhaps the world could be a safe place again. That night, Mira sat quietly by the window, thinking about the day. She had faced the outside world, shared small parts of her story, and felt accepted. It wasn't perfect. The future was still uncertain. But for the first time in months, she felt hope. Real hope. And in that hope, she understood something important. She didn't have to face life alone anymore. She had a family now, father, a child, and the warmth of a home that welcomed her. Even with all her differences, it was a start. A new chapter. And though challenges would come, Mira knew she had taken the first brave step toward belonging. The following morning, the apartment was filled with quiet light, soft and golden, streaming through the windows and painting everything in warmth. Mira sat on the edge of the couch, wrapped in a blanket, her eyes still heavy with sleep but calmer than they had been in months. For the first time in a long time, she didn't feel like she had to hide from the world. She could simply exist. Lily came running into the living room, her small feet tapping lightly on the floor. "Good morning, Mira," she chirped, her eyes shining with excitement. "Did you sleep well?" Mira gave a small nod, a shy smile brushing her lips. "I slept better than I have in a long time," she admitted softly. The words were simple, but to her they carried a weight she hadn't felt in months, freedom from fear. Even if only for a moment, the father came out of the kitchen carrying a tray of breakfast toast, scrambled eggs, and fresh fruit. He placed it gently on the small table near the couch. "Morning, Mira," he said kindly. "We thought you might like something warm to eat. Take your time." Mira hesitated for a moment before taking the plate. Food had been scarce for her on the streets, and she had grown used to eating quickly or not at all. Now she could sit, take her time, and enjoy a meal without fear. It felt like a small miracle. After breakfast, Lily ran to grab her backpack. "Dad, can we do something today?" she asked, bouncing on her toes. "Maybe we can show Mira more of the city, like the park we went to yesterday, or the library." The father hesitated. He understood the risks, people staring, questions being asked, or someone noticing Mira. But he also knew the importance of normalcy, of letting her experience life outside hiding. "Okay," he said finally. "We'll go, but we'll be careful. Mira, you stay close, all right?" Mira nodded, her heart pounding with a mixture of fear and excitement. The streets had always been dangerous for her, full of people who didn't understand or fearfully judged her. But now, with this small family guiding her, the world felt less threatening. She could walk freely, and maybe, just maybe, she could belong as they walked. Lily held Mira's hand tightly, chatting about school, her favorite books, and small, everyday adventures. Mira listened quietly, slowly relaxing with every step. For months, she had been alone, observing humans from the shadows. Now, she was part of something ordinary, something human. It was strange, but comforting. When they reached the library, Mira hesitated at the door. Crowds of people, bright lights, and noises filled the space. Her instincts wanted her to hide, but Lily tugged her hand gently, encouraging her. "Come on, Mira. We're safe here." "I'll stay with you." Mira allowed herself to step inside. She felt the quiet hum of activity, the smell of books, and the calm energy of people absorbed in reading. It was peaceful. For the first time, she realized that she could enjoy life without running, without hiding. Lily led her to the children's section, showing her favorite stories. Mira listened as Lily read aloud, her voice animated and happy. A small smile appeared on Mira's face, growing as she saw the joy and wonder in Lily's eyes. She realized that she had almost forgotten what happiness felt like. Real, simple happiness. The father sat quietly nearby, watching them. He noticed Mira's small gestures, the way she carefully touched the books, the way her ears twitched slightly as she listened, the way she laughed softly at Lily's expressions. He realized that this was more than just a day out. It was healing. It was trust being built, step by step. After the library, they walked to a nearby park. Mira observed quietly, noticing the colors of the flowers, the soft rustle of leaves in the wind, and children playing around her. For months, she had lived in dark, cold places, avoiding attention. And yet here she was, allowed to move freely, to enjoy the sunlight, to exist without fear. Lily ran ahead to the pond, pointing at the ducks swimming. "Look at them. Aren't they funny?" she said, laughing. Mira bent slightly to observe, a small smile tugging at her lips. The sound of laughter, the warmth of the sun, and the peacefulness of the park made her feel alive in a way she hadn't felt for months. The father joined them on a bench, watching quietly. Mira began to speak softly, telling small stories about her past, not the full truth, but fragments. She spoke about quiet memories, moments of beauty she had seen, and tiny experiences that made her human. Lily listened eagerly, asking questions and laughing at the funny parts. The father listened too, silently realizing that trust was forming, that a connection was being built that could not be broken easily. By evening, they returned home. Mira felt exhausted but lighter, as if a weight she hadn't noticed had been lifted. She had experienced the world, shared pieces of herself, and been accepted. She realized that belonging didn't have to come with fear. It could come from kindness, trust, and patience. Dinner that evening was simple but warm. The father, Lily, and Myra sat together, sharing stories, laughter, and quiet moments of understanding. Mira realized that she didn't have to hide her face, her emotions, or her differences. In this small family, she was accepted as she was. After dinner, Lily pulled Mira aside. "You can stay here as long as you want," she whispered. "We like having you here. You're part of our family now." Mira felt warmth spread through her chest. She had spent months surviving alone, avoiding humans, and fearing every glance. Now, someone told her she belonged. She didn't have to explain, justify, or hide. She only had to exist and that was enough. The father watched quietly, feeling a deep sense of relief and pride. He realized that a child's compassion had opened the door to something far bigger than himself, a chance to give someone a second life, a sense of family and hope. Mira had begun to trust them, to believe in kindness, and to accept herself as part of this small world. Later, when the apartment was quiet and the lights dimmed, Mira sat by the window. She watched the stars appear one by one in the darkening sky. For the first time, she allowed herself to hope. She thought about the streets she had hidden in, the nights spent alone, and the danger she had survived. But now she felt something stronger than fear belonging. She understood that her life could change, that she could experience warmth, friendship, and trust. The father had provided guidance, Lily had provided innocence and acceptance, and together they had shown Mira what it meant to be part of a family. Mira's eyes softened as she realized she didn't have to face the world alone anymore. She had people who cared for her, people who saw her as human and worthy of love. The path ahead was still uncertain, but she was no longer invisible, no longer alone, and no longer afraid. That night, as she lay under a warm blanket, Mira allowed herself to dream. She dreamed of a life where she could belong, where she could be herself without fear, where kindness could protect her as much as any hiding place ever had. She understood that family wasn't about blood or origin, it was about connection, love, and trust. And in the quiet of that night, Mira smiled. She had found her place in the world, a home where she was seen, valued, and loved. The little girl's simple question, "Dad, can we take her home?" had changed everything, proving that even the smallest acts of kindness could create miracles in the lives of those who needed it most. For Mira, the homeless fox-like woman who had feared the world had finally opened its arms. And she was ready to step forward, not as a stranger hiding in shadows, but as a part of a family that had chosen to believe in her.